Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your personal PMP coach from Certified with Ease, coming back to you guys with another brand new video. In this video, we are going to solve 25 problems that are similar to the 2025 edition of the exam. Now, listen, guys, the exam has started to change. Not much, but has started to change. So you have some new types of questions. You have hotspot questions, which were frequent in the previous exams, but they're becoming more common, where you have to select a specific part of a certain chart. More drag and drop questions, more calculation questions. The situation-based questions have remained the same. However, more situations are being introduced, so we might have to update our principles moving forward. Before we get into this exam set, this file, remember, guys, we have a PMP Accelerator program. If you want everything in one place, the updated version, so that you can prepare for the 2025 exam, not like a Udemy course that's been recorded 5-10 years ago, something that is recent. Only what you need, an exam-focused approach that you can get done within a month, that has the fundamental theory, that has questions that you can expect on the exam, so the theory, right? So the practice, you practice on questions that you can actually expect so that you're prepared for the exam, right? And we have exam simulators, we have weekly live sessions, we have everything. If you're interested, book an appointment with us. And without further ado, let us get into this exam set. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share it with everyone who's preparing for the exam, okay? Remember, guys, we have 3 steps when it comes to solving problems. The principles are a part of the steps. Number 1, frame the problem. You are reading the question to understand what the problem statement is. Number 2, eliminate the answers that contradict our principles or that don't solve our core problem. And number 3, choose the best answer. Okay? Let's look at this. 26. During the execution of a healthcare portal upgrade, a new patient data privacy rule is introduced. The development team has been made aware of this requirement. What's the problem statement here? The problem statement is this. A new patient privacy rule is introduced. Something new has been introduced to the project. So this already tells me that there's a scope change. Okay, a scope change. Anyways, let's see what else there is from the answers. Okay, so step number 1 is finished. Step number 2 is to eliminate the answers that, number 1, don't solve the core problem, or number 2, contradict our principles, okay? Include the regulation as a backlog item and prioritize based on impact. I don't see anything wrong with that. Escalate, the E word, the issue to the sponsor for review. No. Never escalate, principle number 8, especially if the situation doesn't involve the sponsor in this case. Collaborate with the product owner to determine how it affects the current scope. Very interesting. Update the stakeholder list with compliance officers from the health department. Okay, so this is not a stakeholder type of question, right? This is something new has been introduced. So this doesn't solve the core problem. We are left with A and C. Now let's look at this really, really carefully. During the execution of a healthcare portal upgrade, a new patient privacy system is introduced. The development team has been made aware of this requirement. Now, this is actually one of the changes in the exam that you can catch. It's very subtle. The exam won't tell you directly if we're dealing with an Agile project or a predictive project. But when they mention development team, when they mention software, you can automatically assume that you are dealing with an Agile project. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in our industry practice to use a predictive approach for a software related project. So because they mentioned development team, we can think of this project as a software development project in the healthcare space, okay? So if A, include the regulation as a backlog item prioritized based on impact. Collaborate with the product owner to determine how it affects the current scope. C is going to be the answer. A is a good answer. There's no doubt about that. But C involves the very individual that is responsible for this. That is why it is a better answer to choose. C and A both follow principle number 1. However, C involves the PO who is directly responsible for this. Okay? Awesome. Let us move on to question 27. A newly hired project manager is working on an e-commerce platform upgrade, finds that the timeline for the deployment is at risk because of limited developer availability and unresolved technical dependencies. Okay, we got a risk because of what? Because of the limited developer availability and unresolved technical dependencies. That is a problem statement. Awesome. Okay, A, examine the risk register for mitigation strategies. Okay, that sounds like the answer. B, explore task dependencies and evaluate fast tracking opportunities. I'm just gonna put a little parentheses around this. I'll get back to that. Deliver a full status update to the sponsor, highlighting project risk. No need to involve the sponsor. Okay, so another thing, guys, for the new exam, they are using the E word less and less and less. Maybe because they watched my mindset videos and the PMI was like, man, we got to get rid of principle number 8. They're using escalate less. But remember, it's not about the E word. It's about the notion behind it, the understanding behind it, right? You don't involve someone that is not a part of the situation. If the question explicitly mentioned, let's say sponsor over here, now the sponsor is a part of the story. He's a part of the situation. You want to involve him. In that case, it's okay if the answer mentions sponsor, okay? But over here, no need to mention sponsor. And over here, we chose product owner because even though the question doesn't mention it, this is directly tied with the PO's role, okay? Assessing requirements, that's why. So you have to have an understanding of every individual's roles in the project. All right. So deliver a full status update. Okay, great. So hold a working session with the team to identify practical solutions. That's a good solution too. With the team members are your experts. But the first thing I want to do, guys, is when I'm experiencing a risk, what do I do? I look at the risk register. This is going to be my best answer. The risk register, any register for that matter, stakeholder register, risk register, all these registers. Just think of it as a cash register. Anytime you have cash coming in, you open that register up and you put that cash in there. Anytime you have a risk, you put that risk in the risk register with its respective information. So I will first examine the risk register and then I might get the team involved. We might decide together that fast tracking is probably a solution. But the first thing I want to do is principle number 1, the risk register. Okay, and technically speaking, D is also principle number 1. But remember, one thing that I also noticed about the exam is anytime a tool is used, like the risk register, issue log, stakeholder register, this plan, that plan, the PMP wants to know if you are using the appropriate tools in the appropriate situation, okay? So technically, yes, principle number 1 over here too, but A uses a specific tool, the risk register. All right, let's move on to 28. A tech startup newly adopting Agile begins an AI-driven product development project. Some engineers voice concerns that Agile rituals like retrospectives and sprint reviews are inefficient. What should the PM have done before beginning the project, okay? So now we're going back to the past and we're saying, what should the project manager have done? Some people are saying, retrospectives and sprint reviews are inefficient when we know that they're very, very efficient. We need them. Okay, what should the project manager have done in the beginning of the project? All right, awesome. A, surveyed the team to gauge support for each Agile ceremony. Okay, yeah. I don't think that will solve anything because the engineers are already saying that it's useless. So they're probably going to say the same thing, right? Prepared a kickoff presentation explaining the purpose of Agile events. I like that. So this is synonymous for a inception deck. Okay, this is a weird term that the PMI likes to use. What in the world is an inception deck? Think of it as a PowerPoint. don't get too caught up in it. Ask the PO to insist on adherence to the Agile routine. So now this is a perfect example. Is the product owner problematic in this situation? Do we mention anywhere about the product owner in this situation? No, we don't, right? So technically we're not escalating it, but it's this notion of getting someone involved who's not a part of the situation. So it technically falls under principle number 8. I'm gonna eliminate that. Requested the sponsor reinforce the use of Agile with the team. So again, sponsor, why are we involving the sponsor? We're left with A and B. Okay. Now, this is going to be one of our principles over here. I don't remember the number, but when you are introducing Agile concepts, okay, you want to introduce them in a very gradual way. So you might want to use an inception deck to get everyone familiar with what Agile is, why the retrospectives are important, why sprint reviews are important. That's what the project manager should have done. So the best answer here is going to be B. At a university undergoing a major learning management system upgrade, the project manager is developing a coaching plan to improve the instructional design team's capabilities. Awesome. So PM is developing a coaching plan to improve instructional design team's capabilities. That's our problem statement. What should the project manager consider when defining their coaching strategy? Let's start eliminating some answers. Current communication dynamics among team members. Okay. The university's long-term goals for digital learning transformation. All right. Now, I don't really like this answer because we're talking about the team's capabilities, right? Not the entire university's capabilities. So let's just move on. I'm not going to eliminate it right away. The individual professional development paths of each team member. Okay. The objectives agreed upon by the LMS upgrade project team. Okay. All right. So this is a tricky question because none of our principles are being contradicted here. So A, current community dynamics among the team members. Now, it's not a bad answer, but it restricts our answer to communication dynamics. And in our question over here, we have a coaching plan to improve instructional design, right? So teaching is not only about communicating, it's so much more, right? So I'm not going to choose A. I'm going to eliminate it. Let's see what else there is. University. So again, I don't want to focus on the entire university. I want to focus on this group of individuals. The individual professional development paths of each team member. I don't like the word individual over here. Because if we're dealing with a team, I want to look at the team as a whole, not individual John, Mary, Kate, Ashley, whatever it may be, right? I want to look at all of you together. The objectives agreed upon by the LMS upgrade project team. Okay, so the objective agreed upon by the project team. If we use that as our base, then we can reverse engineer that and understand what's going on with our entire team and what they need, right? So let's say, for example, the objective is to upgrade this LMS, right? I'm going to cater this coaching plan entirely according to that objective. If I don't have an objective in place, guys, it's going to be all over the place, right? So this is going to be the best answer here, the objectives, okay? Remember, as a project manager, your goal is to always get to the objective. If you don't get to the objective, you're not going to have a job, right? That's how it is at the end of the day. Awesome. Okay. All right, let's move on to question number 30. In a game development studio working on a new release, team members must wait for the project manager's input on technical and creative decisions. This dependence has started to delay progress during sprint cycles. What should the project manager do to prevent these delays? Okay. Problem statement is that, you know what? Team members need to wait for the project manager's input. And because of this, we have delays. What should we do? Evaluate delays using a Pareto chart to focus on the most common issues. Well, we don't need to do that, right? Because we know what the reason for the delays are. We need to wait for approvals. Postpone, P word, no. Principle number 2, anytime there's an indication of a delay, stop, wait, postpone, delay, you want to eliminate that answer. Retain control of all key decisions to avoid misalignment. This is micromanaging. We want to be a servant leader. We want to see our team grow. We want to empower them to be leaders. C is not going to be the answer. D, empower. Oh, there we go. We got the word empower. The team by delegating authority for specific areas of project. Yes. If your team members are capable, especially if it's derailing the project because the PM can't keep up, give them authority. Give them authority. This is servant leadership. Awesome. In a civil engineering firm, a PM is leading the company's first Agile-based infrastructure upgrade. All of that, not important. We're setting up the situation. A senior program sponsor expresses interest in understanding how scope and deliverables are progressing. Great, that's our problem statement. So he has an interest or she has an interest in understanding the scope and how things are progressing. What should the PM or the project lead do? Invite the sponsor to attend the next team stand-up to observe updates. No, that's not the right place. Daily stand-up, short 15 minutes, not enough time. You're not going to really have an understanding of the scope and how things are progressing. Rather, you're going to just know what has happened yesterday, what the team plans on doing today, and if there's any problems the team is facing, right? Recommend they join the sprint retrospective to discuss lessons learned. Okay. All right. Very good. Arrange a one-on-one session to walk them through the progress reports. I'm sorry, I did a little mistake here, guys. B, they said retrospective, and we're gonna talk about this later. I missed it. Arrange a one-on-one session to walk them through a progress report. So this is a solution, but it's inefficient. Let's just see what else there is. Encourage, I like that word, the sponsor to attend the upcoming sprint review with stakeholders. So we're involving the sponsor because the situation involves the sponsor. Okay, so don't freak out there. Sprint review. We got the sprint retrospective and we got the sprint review. The sprint review is where you want the sponsor to attend. The sprint retrospective is where you gather your team and you basically speak to them and you ask them, hey, what do we do right in this sprint? What do we do wrong? What can we do better? This is where you're going to really review the progress and talk to other stakeholders, right? So the best answer here is going to be D. Awesome. A government IT project is underway to improve public financial reporting. Midway through the development, new federal regulations are passed. Okay. I'm going to highlight this. The dev team incorporates the changes smoothly, but the increased compliance testing is causing unplanned costs. What should the project manager do? The reason why I highlighted federal regulations is because if the law changes, it's something that you can't avoid. You have to adjust immediately. And as a consequence, we have more costs. So what should we do? Revise the testing cost estimates in the cost management plan. Okay. Request contingency funding from the project sponsor. So we're not going to request this. This should have already been done, right? And we'll talk about this a little bit more. Submit a formal change request to update the cost baseline. Analyze the possibility of reallocating technical resources. All right. So I'm not going to do this one, D. Analyze the possibility of reallocating technical resources. This situation doesn't call for technical resources. We are simply just increasing costs. We have implemented the changes smoothly. So D is not going to be the right answer. Okay. Revise the testing cost estimates in the cost management plan. Request contingency funding from the project sponsor. Submit a formal change request to update the cost baseline, right? So that's what we're going to do. We are going to submit that change request. We're going to submit that change request, okay? We're going to submit the change request in order to adjust the cost baseline. Why? Because there has been additional costs. Additional costs have gone up. We've implemented everything smoothly, but now we need to submit that change request. Okay? All right, perfect. Let's move on to question 33. During the rollout of a smart building automation project, the electrical subcontractor notifies the project manager that delivery of a specialized circuit board will be delayed. Okay, this is our problem statement. Due to staffing issues, fine. The core project team, which has completed the planning phase early, is unsure whether to continue, schedule, or wait. All right, what should we do? There's a main part that's going to be delayed. We need to figure out what we should do. Have the team work overtime to absorb future delays? No, we can't do that, right? Anytime the PMP mentions, have your team work overtime, they get into an accident, have them still come to work, not the answer. It's really interesting is I saw a study hall question that chose that as one of the answers. I was like, come on, study hall. Slow down internal progress to stay in sync. Never settle for delays. Principle number 2. Temporary lend internal staff to help the vendor meet delivery needs. Well, we can't just do that. All right? We can't just give our staff away to this vendor who's another company. That doesn't make any sense. Meet with the team to brainstorm contingency options and pivot if needed. Yes, principle number 1. Let's go. Principle number 1. Take that step back. Let's see what our options are, right? Best course of action. 34, a retail company has just rolled out a new point of sale system chain wide. I don't know what that is. We don't need to know what that is. Remember, we're setting up the situation. Okay. Before the system goes live in every store, the project manager wants to make sure all the work is completed. What should the PM do to ensure the project is ready to move to the operational state? Okay, so PM simply needs to make sure that all work is completed. What should we do? Walk through the WBS with the team to ensure everything's been delivered. So I like the fact that they're using WBS. Work breakdown structure, you have your scope, you're breaking it down into work packages. So you're basically breaking your whole project down into its subparts. You can verify if things have been done, and you're consulting with the team. I like this because the team members, our principal, are your experts. They'll know everything, right? Outline a follow-up plan for minor tech issues and get sponsor approval. So we're not talking about tech issues here in our question. And why involve the sponsor? We don't need to. Gone. Revisit the project charter to verify who signs off on the project completion. Well, technically speaking, we don't need to go to this project the charter and verify who signs it off, right? That's not going to really make a difference. We need to verify on our own whether or not we've completed everything, right? It's not going to solve the core problem. Check the outstanding tasks and progress reports to ensure the backlog is clear. Okay, and that could work too. I like A because A uses a project management term, WBS. Okay, and it involves the team. That's why I really like A. Check the outstanding tasks in progress reports. The PMP won't say progress reports. They will actually use a tool. They will use a tool. So they might say, make sure that everything in your acceptance criteria has been checked off. That's a tool. Progress reports are very general. Okay, so you start getting the flavor of the exam from doing problems. You start seeing things, start seeing patterns. The PMP likes to use tools a lot. Okay, so A here is going to be the best answer. In a large construction company, a project, the manager is sourcing a critical crane system. Only one supplier has offered a proposal. And the sponsor questions whether the cost is worth the benefit. So you got one sponsor or one supplier has bidded, right? You have vendors, they want to bid for a A contract, one supplier has bidded only. And now the sponsor is saying, you know what? Is the cost really worth it? What should we do? Review the initial scope and vendor criteria to identify alternatives. Approve the procurement due to project importance. Escalate to upper management, so we don't want to escalate things. Initiate contract negotiations to seek value adjustments. All right, so this is phrased a little bit strangely. If we review the initial scope and vendor criteria and to identify alternatives, I don't want to do this right away. Why jump to alternatives right away? I want to see if we can deal with what we have right now. The question didn't say the sponsor has rejected this. We need to move to another, we need to find a different way now. If that was the case, we can identify alternatives. But this question says what? The sponsor is simply questioning, is it worth it? Approve the procurement due to project importance. Well, this goes behind the project sponsor's back. We want to address his or her concerns. Initiate contract negotiations to seek value adjustments. Okay, so I would seek value adjustments, kind of strange, but I would just say negotiate. Negotiate. See if we can negotiate. See if we can negotiate with the sponsor. With the supplier to see if we can get a better deal. I still don't like this solution. I still don't like it. Remember, guys, these questions are made up by the team, but we follow the same pattern as the PMP exam. Okay, the same style. If you want questions that you can depend on and that cover all the topics, so you can be prepared, check out our PMP Exam course. I'm going to leave a link, but. So don't study these questions, but don't depend on them so much. We're trying to understand the concept behind it, the principles, framing the problem. We're practicing that, okay? But what I would choose, what I would do instead is principle number one. All right, I would say, you know what? Let's discuss this proposal with the supplier and see what we can do. Okay, that's what I would do. But D is going to be the best answer in this case. Two senior engineers on a job site are having repeated conflicts over a design execution, and it's starting to create tension in the crew. Okay. You're never going to see crew, by the way. You're going to see team, right? Crew is not a word that the PMP uses. They use team. So they're having repeated conflicts, and it's creating tension now. So it's not something that's light. We can't not address it. We need to address it head on. Get HR involved early to ensure the conflict doesn't disrupt project deadlines. No. Don't get HR involved. Project manager, let's see what we can do. This is escalating to HR. This is principle number 8. We don't want to do this. Meet privately with each person to hear their point of view. I like this. When your team members are having conflicts with one another, or when there's a performance issue, meet with them in private. That is a principle. That is what a servant leader does. C, on the other hand, address the situation during the team discussion to promote shared problem solving. Now this, they make it sound like it's very nice. But what happens? Let's say two people are having a conflict and you bring up the situation in a team meeting full of like 30 people. You are exposing your team members' faults in front of 20 or 30 other people. We don't want to do that. It's going to make them feel bad. It's going to diminish them in front of their colleagues. Use a straightforward cooperative approach to help the two members work through the issue early. Yes, beautiful. Right? So B, you're meeting with them and then you're using a cooperative approach. Delay the dealing with the conflict until the current project phase is finished. Never want to delay things. Principle number 2. If we delay, it might cause more problems in the future. In a construction firm, an Agile team is working on a digital tool to track material usage across sites. The team is divided over which interface design will be the easiest for field workers to use. The debate is productive but unresolved. That is our core problem statement. So they're not fighting each other. They're not getting at each other. It's productive, but the situation has not been solved. What should the project manager do next? So we need to solve this problem. We need to figure out how we can get everyone on board. Apply conflict resolution methods to reach a final decision. We'll talk about this. Organize a meeting to guide the team through the design debate. I like that. Let the team continue discussion and resolve it collaboratively. Conduct individual interviews to better understand team preferences. Now, we don't need to do individual interviews. It's inefficient. And remember, it's a team decision, so everyone should be involved. There's no conflict. There's no conflict. The debate was productive, right? It's not a conflict. They're just going back and forth. They're discussing things. Now, if we organize a team meeting to guide them, this is going to be the solution. This is going to be a better solution. C will not solve anything because they've just done that. They've just done that. They're going to go back and forth. The project manager now needs to step in and, keyword guys, guide the team. Not tell the team, this is what we're doing that instead. Why? Because your team members are your experts. You don't want to do that. So you want to guide the team. Awesome. Okay. So wrong pen. Let us use blue. Guide the team. Awesome. Let's move on to 38. So financial services company is implementing a series of strategic technology initiatives to improve client experience and regulatory compliance. To improve delivery efficiency and responsiveness, the organization decides to adopt Agile methodologies for the upcoming projects. What is the main reason for adopting Agile? All right, so guys, this whole problem statement, none of it is useful. They could have just started with this, right? Hey, what's the main purpose of Agile? So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the answers. Accelerate delivery timelines and lower financial expenditure. Not necessarily, right? I don't think these questions or these answers are going to contradict any of our principles. However, sometimes you might have an Agile project that's more expensive. A lot of times you might have that because predictive, you can easily predict. You can know that, you know what, we've done this project so many times, it's going to be roughly this much. It's going to take roughly this long. So early delivery of prioritized business value. Ooh, there we go. One of our principles over here. Value is one of our key words. Reduction, I skipped one. C, enhanced risk management and improved implementation reliability. Technically speaking, I agree with that. Risk management is much better because you're taking things slowly by slowly. You're assessing, then you're moving forward. You're assessing, then you're moving forward. So you can manage risk in a much better fashion. Improve implementation reliability. I agree with that too. But I wouldn't say it's the main reason for adopting Agile. The main reason, if you look at the definition of Agile, it is summarized in B. So C is a good answer. It's one of the objectives of Agile, but B is the main reason for Agile. Reduction overall costs through Agile planning and execution. So we said this before, that's not always the case. So the best answer here, guys, is going to be C. I'm sorry, B. Value is a good keyword, but remember that you wanna read everything before selecting it. Okay, so from 39 and onward to question 50, we are going to reverse things to train your mindset. This is an activity that we do with all our students in our PMP Accelerator program. We start with the questions and see what we can eliminate. And then from there, if we can't eliminate anything, we read the question, okay? So A, ask the engineers to adapt to the local communication norms for better alignment. Facilitate a structured dialogue between the engineers and site supervisors surface concerns. Give the site supervisor tailored feedback for improving team communication. Partner with the site supervisor to co-develop communication plans and support inclusivity. Okay, so none of our principles are being contradicted here. We need to read the question. For your exam, read the question first, then get to the answers. We're just doing this to train your mindset. Okay, so a global construction firm is executing a complex infrastructure project involving specialists. Great. The PM observes that two civil engineers are not collaborating effectively with the local site supervisor. After discussions, the root cause appears to be communication breakdown stemming from cultural misunderstandings. That's our problem statement, guys. See, all these words before it are setting up the situation. So you have to be sharp when it comes to reading. And I know the exam is long and you might get tired, but you need to stay sharp when it comes to reading. We're done half of the work by just understanding the problem statement. Okay, ask the engineers to adapt to the local communication norms for better alignment. Well, listen, this only involves the engineers. I want to involve the engineers and the local site supervisors, right? Facilitate a structured, I like the word facilitate. Facilitate, good word for servant leadership. A structured dialogue between the engineers and site supervisors to surface concerns. Yes, I like that. Principle number 1, taking a step back. Let's see what else there is. So we're going to eliminate A because it only involves the engineers. Give the site supervisor tailored feedback. So again, just the site supervisor. It's not his or her fault. Everyone's involved, right? It's not someone's fault. It's not the engineer's fault. It's not the site supervisor's fault. There's some misunderstanding. So we need to involve everyone. Partner with the site supervisor to co-develop a communication plan that supports inclusivity. Again, we want to involve everyone. B is going to be the best answer. Awesome. Question 40. So A, capture current insights for the post-project documentation. Reassess and revise risk responses in light of new challenges. Check if all sub-plans, schedule, scope, quality remain cohesive. Okay, so we're going to have to read this question. I wanted to do the mindset training with all of y'all, but it seems to not be working. But we'll come across a question. We'll come across a question that says escalate to the sponsor, and then I'll tell you guys, hey, this is what, we don't want to do this, right? At a team firm delivering a large-scale cloud infrastructure deployment, the PM hosts weekly progress reviews to troubleshoot and ensure steady delivery. What should the project mind do first on the agenda? Okay, so this is important. What should the project mind do first on the agenda? So there's a lot of things you can do to troubleshoot and ensure steady delivery. A lot of different things, guys. Capture current insights for post-project documentation. I mean, the insights or the feedback should have been captured before this. But anyways, reassess and revise risk responses in light of new challenges. So this is something that you can do. And this is something that's often done. I'm a little bit hesitant because I wish the question would have mentioned more about the risks. But I'm not going to eliminate it. Check if all plans, subplans, schedule, scope, quality remain cohesive and integrated. Yes, that's a better answer. Why? Think about it this way. If your plans are not up to date, everything falls apart. Your plan is your treasure map. If there's a mistake in the directions, you're not going to get to your treasure. Think of it that way. If there's a mistake in your plans or it's not updated or you had to change something but you didn't do that, you're not going to get to your objective. If your plan says left, you go left, not right. If it says right, you go right, not left. That's how a plan is. That's how it works. So this is going to be the main first thing that you want to do. Let's just read D. Clarify resolutions and delegate next steps for active issues. No. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is C. And the question mentions first, right? Very important. Awesome. Question 41. A, schedule a follow-up session with a third-party agricultural finance expert. All right, sounds like a good idea. Let the team continue while encouraging the conflicting parties to resolve it privately. Ooh, that doesn't sound that good. Team is continuing, fine, but you're telling the conflicting parties the people that are arguing maybe with one another, resolve the issue privately. No, I want to get involved. The project manager needs to get involved if there's a conflict, if there's a performance issue. So I don't like that. Postpone, P word. No. So we don't want to do this. Help mediate the discussion to ensure alignment and progress on strategic planning. Okay, that sounds good too. So just from the mindset, we've eliminated half of the answers. Let's look at the question really quickly, and I'm going to jump straight to the last sentence. A disagreement, because I already see this word, breaks out between the procurement and operations leads over budgets. How should the project manager deal with this situation? So I don't know why we're dealing with the agricultural finance expert. I don't know who this person is. That sounds like an interesting job title. Agricultural finance expert. Wow. I'm going to start a YouTube channel about this. I'm going to become the first agricultural finance expert. You guys are going to follow me on YouTube, and I'm going to show you guys how you can get your agricultural finance license. All right, enough of that. D, help mediate the discussion, right? You're going to get involved as a PM. You're going to help people out. You're going to ensure that there's alignment so that the disagreement doesn't evolve, and you're going to move forward, okay? All right, perfect. Let us move on. A, offer the team a brief break to restore motivation and reduce burnout. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret here. The PMP, or the PMI, Project Management Institute, does not like this. We don't just give people breaks. And I understand the concept behind it is because we're working on a project, we can't just give you breaks. You need to put in the hours so we can get this project done. Think of a project as a race. If your team decides to take a break and just sit down on the park bench in the middle of a race, it delays the entire progress. So we don't want to do that. Even though in the industry, you might give your team members a little bit of a break, take a day off, take two, let's do this, let's do that. When it comes to PMP, don't select that. Limit the number of recurring meetings to reduce virtual fatigue. I mean, I don't like this solution. We might need to have meetings regularly, so I don't like it right away. Let's see what else there is. It doesn't contradict our principles, but it just doesn't sound right, so let's just leave it for now. Review resource allocation and adjust responsibilities to ease pressure. Principle number 2. By doing this, we are going to increase the budget. Right? Resource allocation, we might have to hire more people. And even if we don't, we can't just give the responsibilities to other individuals. That responsibility has been assigned to you for a particular reason because you're capable of doing it. We can't just give it to, I don't know, Reggie the intern, right? Boost morale with engaging team sessions. And again, that sounds like a beautiful solution, right? Free yoga sessions. You guys get that? You guys get that in your workplace? When the team is really stressed out? Q4. Guys, free yoga sessions. Come join us for a free yoga session at lunchtime. Oh man. Terrible boost of morale. I don't know. My opinion right there, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. What does your company do to boost morale, if they do anything for that matter? All right, but that's going to be the best solution here. Okay? You're boosting, you're addressing the core problem. You're making the sessions more engaging, and you are engaging in coaching as well. Okay, this is purely servant leadership, and you always want to be a servant leader. Okay, A, include stakeholders in the project, in the sprint retrospective to capture their input. So there's already a mistake here, a technical error. We don't include stakeholders in this. Rather, we include our project team. So A, due to technicalities, is out. Invite stakeholders to the sprint review to observe the actual integration in progress. Okay. Everything checks out there. Provide a detailed walkthrough of the product backlog for clarification. Now the backlog and everything in Agile is not detailed. This is actually counter Agile. This whole aspect of making detailed plans, making detailed documentation, product backlog, this and that does not exist in the Agile world. That is something that's predictive. So again, it's a technical issue here with problem numbers or solution C. Allocate a task in the backlog specifically to evaluate integration workflows. Okay, let's read this question now. So PM at a mobile app company is leading a release focused on implementing AI. Great. While updating the backlog, the marketing and product leaders raise concerns about how AI logic will work with current user data and screen flows. Problem statement is simple. These individuals don't know how AI is going to integrate. So what can we do? B is going to be the best answer. We don't need to adjust the backlog just because someone doesn't understand how AI works. Imagine that was the case. Your backlog is something that you have to protect at all costs. You don't want to put useless things in the backlog. Rather, if some people don't understand what's going on, come to the sprint review. Let's show you something because we're going to have our product increment, right? Or some part of the product completed. So come join us. Okay? Awesome. 44. Okay, I'm just scanning through the answers of 44. This is something that we're going to have to read. We're not going to be able to eliminate the answers. So let's start reading. In a pharmaceutical research facility, a PM is leading the build of a lab automation platform. Reviewing performance dashboards, the manager aims to proactively flag anything that might delay later testing milestones. We want to basically catch potential delays before they even become a problem. That's our problem statement. Verify output through quality and control audits. That's not going to really tell us if there's a delay coming along that we need to consider. Recheck the timeline for bottlenecks. Okay. All right. Use trend analysis to predict risks early. Investigate existing delays using RCA. So A and D are gone. Why is D gone? D is gone because we're not concerned about the existing delays. We are concerned about taking a proactive step before they even become delays and dealing with them, right? The best answer here is going to be what? B, recheck the timeline for bottlenecks. Use trend analysis to predict risk early. Best answer is going to be B. Okay, B is going to be the best answer. What do you guys think, actually? Let me get your opinion on this one. We can use a trend analysis. We can, technically, to look at risks, what has happened before and whatnot. But I would recheck the timeline and see where things are building up, where potential bottlenecks might occur. So you can look at your timeline and you can look at each step and you can easily tell where there's going to be delays. That's what I think. You guys let me know in the comments. So comment your answer for question 44. If you made it this far, a lot of people don't make it this far. If you have, let me know, okay? 45. A retail company is rolling out a hybrid agile waterfall. Okay, so I think this should be in brackets. By the way, the PMP will not tell you that a hybrid project is agile and waterfall. For a new digital loyalty platform and must transition. Okay, I read this completely wrong. A retail company rolling out a hybrid project for a new digital loyalty platform must transition leadership mid-project. Okay. The new lead needs to ensure that stakeholder aligned business benefits remain central to delivery. That is our problem statement. Business benefits. Which artifact should we use? Okay. Pretty simple. System blueprint, statement of work, backlog items, business case. So this word analysis at the end, forget it. Again, the team has made these questions, so forgive us for some inconsistencies, but it's the business case. Your business case will tell you about the benefits, the ROI. Why do we do this project? What are the benefits for it? 46. A financial tech project is behind schedule because of data accuracy problems in its latest software release. During a critical checkpoint meeting, the product owner proposes conducting a root cause analysis. Okay, awesome. So we are behind schedule. We're behind schedule. And the product owner says, you know what, let's do a root cause analysis, which is a great tool to use to figure out the root cause. What should the project lead do? Initiate an inclusive session to explore failure points with the full team. All right, but what are we doing about the root cause analysis suggested? Right? You want to use the information in the question. Delegate the facilitation responsibilities and allow teams to lead the RCA. All right, I like that. You're giving your team independence. You are pushing them to take initiative, and you're using the RCA. Reiterate the product owner's input and move forward with the team's chosen resolution. Reiterate the product owner's input and move forward with the team's chosen resolution. Yes, great. But I'm not sure in C, are we using the RCA? I don't think so. Involve the QA manager, tighten standards for defect detection. So we're not talking about defects necessarily here. I like B and C. I'm going to choose B. B is more servant leader-like. Delegate facilitation responsibilities. So you are basically telling your team that you guys got to take initiative on this, get this work done. You're making them into leaders, and you're using the RCA. So it has more going for it. It has root cause analysis. It also has servant leadership. Great. 47, an engineering firm is taking on a novel infrastructure project that doesn't align with the standard portfolio. The project manager needs to adjust which documents and reports are used to manage the work. Okay, so we need to adjust the documents and reports. Who should determine which artifacts should be used in the project? I can already tell you that the team should. The team and the PM. That's just a known fact. Why? Because they're working on the project. Project sponsor, no. Standard organizing artifacts should be used to maintain process integrity. Well, that doesn't answer our problem. Key stakeholders should vote on which artifacts are relevant. No, it's your team, right? I see it right here. Project manager and the team. Always, 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 guys. And it makes sense. If they are the ones working on the project, why are the stakeholders who are not even involved going to determine what artifacts should be used? It might happen in the corporate world a lot, because a lot of these C-suite or executives, they have a lot of ego, and they want to determine everything. Even though they're not working on the actual project, they will tell you, you got to use that, you got to use this. Why? Because I learned it. I learned it in business school. I did my MBA in this Ivy League school, that Ivy League school, right? A little bit of a rant there. My apologies. But I'm trying to make these sessions engaging for all of you, because I know how tough and how drab these sessions can be at times, okay? A technology startup is planning the release of a new mobile app. The product vision is evolving, and the team is concerned about feature clarity. That's our problem statement. Ahead of a time-sensitive launch. What should we do? Work with stakeholders to lock in the top priority feature. Flag requirements ambiguity as a risk, and prepare workarounds. So A and B doesn't solve the problem. Ask the product owner to assign an SME. We don't want to do this right away, right? This is going to cost money. SMEs always cost more. Let's eliminate this. And we have D, which is lead the team in defining the MVP. MVP, one of our principles, one of our keywords. PMI loves to use this a lot. Look out for it in your answers. All right, let's look at some of the answers here. Facilitate brainstorming with the team to find workarounds using synthetic or Anonymized data. Man. But I like this. Why? Because it's principle number 1 and you're involving the team. I forgot the number, the principle number that involves the team, but there's 2 principles being used here. Reschedule a task for the next sprint. So no, if we need to do this, this is going to be a delay. Principle number 2. I'm assuming we're going to read the question. I'm trying to go a little fast, guys, because my camera is about to die and I don't want to plug it in right now. The best answer here is going to be A. I can already tell. Okay. We don't want to notify the sponsor. Contact the IT team to expedite access approval. When you have principle number 1, you choose that. All right, question 50. Remove the junior developer from the project as requested. No. Never remove your team member. Never fire them. Stick with them. This is going to cause friction within the team. That's one of our principles. Promote inclusive discussion, strengthen team synergy. I like that. Move all new developers into a structured learning cohort. Ooh. Reallocate work streams to minimize tension and avoid future conflict. You know what? I'm going to leave this to you guys because my camera battery is dying right now. What's the answer here out of B, C, and D? I can already tell the answer just from looking at the solution, but what's the answer? You let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate you guys supporting this channel. It means a lot. We have grown to almost 6,000 subscribers, I think. When I'm making this film, this small video, it's been close to 6,000. Because of you guys, I appreciate it. So keep at it. Get PMP certified. Keep reaching out and commenting. And again, we have a course. So if you're interested, sign up to it. Book an appointment with our advisors. Let's see if it's for you. Take care and have a fantastic rest of the day.